Hey guys, welcome to my one take video on BMW's 530e Saloon. I'm here at the SMMT day. I only get about 15 or 20 minutes if I'm lucky with each car. So I figured I might as well turn the cameras on and give you my initial impressions. This particular 530e is in fire red, which is very like aventurine red, if you're familiar with that color. And it's an M Sport Pro trim. Starts at £61,500 on the road here in the UK. This particular press car is heavily optioned. In fact, retails at about 73 grand, but we're not going to talk about options. We're just going to focus on initial driving impressions and what I think of this car. As you might already know, I have reviewed the i5 Saloon, and that's the only version of this new G60 5 Series that I have put up on the channel. And I wouldn't say I was underwhelmed by that car, but I just thought it was massively overpriced. That particular press car was £120,000 and it didn't set my world on fire, especially for that kind of money. It was a good enough package, but it just wasn't that incredible. I'm hoping that the combustion engine cars and the hybrid cars or versions of the 5 Series like this one are going to make more sense. And I think straight away, price wise, as we said, you can pick one of these up for 60 grand before options. And let's face it, these days, especially something like 5 Series does come with a lot of standard equipment, but there are a few boxes that you might want to tick, like this wonderful pan roof, which brings a lot of light into this otherwise very German and dark interior. Now, as you might be able to tell, we pulled away in electric only. It's in default mode, I believe, and we can play around with the modes on the second lap. Let's start by talking about this car's running gear. Under the bonnet, we have the B48, which is a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. Produces 190 horsepower and 310 newton meters of torque in this guise, which is actually quite detuned compared to cars like the M135i, which it's also in. But because this is a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, that is mated to an electric motor, and that electric motor on its own produces 185 horsepower and 250 newton meters of torque. And in fact, we're in electric only at the moment, and it feels certainly punchy enough to keep up with everyday traffic and cart this 2.1 ton 5 Series around. It's not actually too heavy when you bear in mind what this has underneath the skin. Also has a 19.4 kilowatt hour battery, which BMW say will give you a realistic range, electric only range, of about 60 miles, which is definitely long enough for most people's, let's say, daily commute. And that's pretty impressive, especially when you pair that up to the B48, which retains a 60-litre fuel tank. You see, hybrids only a few years ago always had a much smaller fuel tank. I think there were a few BMWs out there, 5 Series X5s, that only had a 40 or 45 litre fuel tank, so you really sacrificed your combustion only range by having those batteries. But because this car has been built to accompany electric only setup, a hybrid setup and a combustion engine only setup, they've obviously packaged it much better, meaning we can get a 60-litre fuel tank as well as the 19.4 kilowatt hour battery. So plenty of overall and available range. When you combine the combustion engine and electrical energy together, you get an overall maximum output of 450 newton meters and about 300 horsepower. Again, a good enough figure for a big 5 Series like this. Talking of that, the combustion engine did just kick in then, and it was completely seamless. I mean, I could hear it, but I couldn't feel it kick in. And I think that technology, that calibration has got so much better over the past 2 or 3 years, because earlier hybrid systems where you could really tell when 1 minute you're in electrical energy, next minute the combustion engine's kicked in, and just the way that all sort of went together was not particularly smooth. Whereas these days in this application, well, it's extremely smooth. That combined power and torque give this car a claimed 0-62 figure of 6.3 seconds. Again, quick enough for your 5 Series family car. And we're gonna put it into sports in a minute just to see what that feels like in reality. But I think someone who's buying a 530e, that sort of performance should be enough. In terms of interior and driving position, again, I talked a lot about that during my original initial i5 review on the i5 M60. And I think I said the interior didn't really fit the price tag. But at 60 grand, well, it all starts to make a lot more sense, and it does feel nice in here. Seats are very comfortable. There's plenty of room in here. The boot seems a little bit compromised. I'm not sure what the volume is on that. It's big, but it does seem a bit compromised down the side. I'm not sure if that is part of where the battery is or something to do with the hybridization. Just about to go over some ripple strips so we can talk about its ride quality. And I have to say, I know these ripple strips very well because I've come here for many years, and they are awful in some cars. And aside from hearing them in this car, they feel really good. You're very insulated from the rest of the world in here. It's very, very well put together. They've done that because they've had to do it for the electric only, the i5s, because with electric cars, if the insulation's not amazing and doesn't separate you from the outside world, i.e. wind noise, tyre roar, etc., then you know about it. So when you bring that electric car and you put a combustion engine in it, you're obviously going to benefit from all that isolation. It feels really good. Talking of tyres, this particular car is on Michelin E Primacy tyres, which I know very well. It's the most efficient tyre in the world, and obviously helps with things like range, whether you're in electric or combustion or using it as a mixture as this hybrid, and as you would with this particular car. So it's nice to see familiar tyres. Obviously this has all of the latest iDrive or operating system 8.5, I believe, so the curved display, which is in every single BMW as far as I'm aware these days. We've still got the wonderful iDrive controller down here, which I absolutely love. Just means that you don't necessarily have to use the touchscreen as a touchscreen, because that doesn't always work, especially when you're on the move. You can rest your arm down here and use the iDrive controller to navigate through whatever it is you want to get to. There's also some buttons around it, and we're about to press one of those buttons, the My Modes button. I'm going to put it into Sport, which has given me different dials, more aggressive dials. Everything's red. The ambient lighting's changed to red in here. I can hear the B48 a little bit more now. Is that being piped through the cabin? I'm not sure. See if we get manual. There we go, manual. We'll do another lap pushing on a little bit just to see what this car is like dynamically. BMW aren't pitching this as a dynamic driver's car, although you would expect the fact that it has BMW badges on it, it's going to be somewhere close to the ultimate driving machine, even if it is a 2.1 ton hybrid. And instantly I can feel everything's a bit tauter, everything's a bit sharper. Throttle response is really rather good because you've got that amazing electrical torque fill down low that gets rid of any of the turbo lag that you would normally have otherwise. Let's go for a bit more of an enthusiastic lap this time. We'll just launch it. I mean, it feels fast enough. I guess that feels like 6.5 seconds. It's not mind-blowing in any sense, but it gets to 60 miles an hour very easily. And as we talked about at the end of the last lap, well, it's that torque fill that's impressive. You know, I could be in 5th gear, which I'm in now, and it's pulling up here really nicely. It responds very well to throttle response. Once again, that's that calibration that they've got just right. You don't really know whether it's the combustion engine or the battery's doing the work, and that's exactly what you want in a hybrid. You want that to be seamless. You want them to work together really, really well. In terms of handling, well, through here, this is very tricky. You tend to get a lot of understeer through here in many cars. It's very positive. Once again, considering we're on Michelin's most efficient tyre, which is obviously focusing on efficiency, rolling resistance, longevity. It's not focusing on outright performance. and yeah, it feels really, really impressive. The turn-in is really good, and I wouldn't know that I was on an efficient tyre, if that makes sense. The car's controlling its weight really well. Oh, we have some electrical sounds there from Hans Zimmer kicking in. So you've got the combustion engine and the electric sounds, and they tend to work pretty well together. But yeah, I mean, apart from the fact that this is an M Sport Pro trim, so you could argue that it is more focused at driving dynamics, it feels really, really good. I mean, it's working its magic. As you would expect, all these big German manufacturers, they're producing massively heavy, high up SUVs that handle well. So when you put all of that know-how and technology into a traditional saloon, you would hope and expect that they can make that do magic wonders, and it really does. Let's finish with a slightly naughty jump. I probably will get in trouble, but it's just a risk you've got to take. Here we go. I don't think we actually left the ground then. There was too many people in orange vests around, and I don't want to get in trouble in the first car that I've taken around the SMMT loop. I'll probably get a little bit naughty a bit later on in something a bit punchier. What's my conclusion of this car in the 15 minutes that I've been behind the wheel? Well, it's really rather nice. It gives you a proper electric range, and as we knock it back out of this aggressive mode and into efficient, which I assume gives me electric only, it does everything it says on the tin, and it does it all at a reasonable price. To think that a base one of these is 60 grand, and that i5 M60 I drove with options, to be fair, was 120 grand. Well, that's twice the money. A base i5 M60 without those options is just over 100, I think, today. Yeah, this represents a lot better value. I mean, I didn't think the i5 M60 was dynamically brilliant. Yes, it was lightning fast in the straight line, miles faster than this car, but you're limited because it is electric only, and I get that most people buying an i5 are probably going to be company car users and benefiting from that. But if you want something that is electric and you're not too fussed about the benefit in kind, etc., then to me this hybrid makes a lot more sense. It gives you 60 miles of electric only range, which is good enough for the majority of situations, but you have that combustion engine which is really nicely mated to it. We forgot to even talk about the 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox. It just all works so well together, and yeah, as a package, well, it's definitely, in my opinion, a lot better than the electric only i5. Talking of that though, I am actually getting my hands on an i5 Touring very, very soon, and I'm looking forward to running that. It's a E40, I think they call it, or the 40. So I'm looking forward to running that and seeing what it's like in reality, because I think the M60 is just trying to be something that it isn't. Let's give it my one take scores. So in terms of practicality, well, it's really big in here. The use of space is lovely, but it is big on the outside. I think it's just over 5 meters long, so it's probably bigger than a 7 Series only a couple of generations ago. The boot is reasonable. As I said, it looks like there's a few sacrifices in there, maybe because of the battery, etc. And I haven't done my homework. I don't know exactly how big it is in terms of liters. This is just visuals, but it's extremely deep. So I'd have to give practicality for this car maybe an 8. Driving dynamics, when you factor in that it's not an M car, yes, it does have M Sport and M written in several places, but it's not claiming to be an M car. Driving dynamics are actually really rather good. I wouldn't say it's necessarily an exciting car to get behind the wheel of, but it seems to do everything very well. And considering it does weigh almost 2.1 tons and it has all of that technology under the skin and all that practicality, I reckon it does a very good job. So I'm going to say, in terms of dynamic driving, it gets a 7.5. Value for money, well, as we know, all cars on sale today are very expensive. The last couple of years, car prices just seem to be going up and up and up. But comparing this to the i5, as I have done a few times in this video, especially that M60, which I know is much faster in a straight line at least, I think it represents much, much better value. At 60 grand, a really nicely put together 5 Series that happens to be a very usable plug-in hybrid. Well, I think 60 grand is pretty good value. So I'll give this, again, about a 7.5 in terms of value. After lunch, I'm going to take this car's big brother out, the 550e xDrive. So keep an eye out for that on the channel. Be interesting to see what the B58, the 6-cylinder lump, adds to the overall sort of experience. It's obviously going to be more money, and let's see if I think it's worthwhile. As always, I hope you enjoyed this one take video. Once again, we get these cars for 15 to 20 minutes, so it's very difficult to give you a proper review, but I thought I would switch the cameras on and share my experience with you. Let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this particular car and whether it is worth the £61,000 asking price. Until the next video, take it easy and I'll see you then. Cheers.